Hi everyone, it's Erin from the Provincial Farmhouse. In today's video, I'm doing some spring thrift flips. For my first project, I'm going to be working on this little cane bag. I found this for $3. It was in great shape, but I didn't love the color. So I took it outside and I gave it 2 coats of a spray paint. I believe this one is White Knight in ivory, and I gave that 2 coats. I forgot to start off with to undo that little knot in the handle there, but I did then go and fix that up. So I am going to spray the handle as well. I don't mind if little bits of the black peek through, it'll just give it that vintage look, but the overall black was just a little bit oppressive and we want to give this a fresh new look. While that was drying, I took out Redesign's Meadow Hare Mould. I've been wanting to use this one for quite some time. So excited to finally have it in my shop. I'm going to be using amazing casting resin, so I'm going to be pouring out half part A, half part B, equal parts, and mixing it together for 30 seconds. I'm then going to carefully pour the resin into my molds. If I get any bits that go over the edges, I'm just going to use a wet wipe to tidy it up. Otherwise, you can always just pull off the excess parts when the resin is set, which takes about 10 to 15 minutes. I'm using resin for this project because obviously that's a bit more sturdy. Clay would probably just break off over time. So once my resin is ready, I'm going to start taking my pieces out. I originally thought about using this larger hare in the center, and then I thought about also having the little garlands around the outside. Ultimately, however, I did feel like the hair was just a bit too big. The scale wasn't quite right. So in the end, I did actually end up deciding to use just the head of the hair instead. So I'm just working out here roughly what position I want to put it in and also thinking about colors. I did originally grab Paint Couture's Duck Egg Mineral Paint, and I thought about using JRV's Grain Sack Stencil Stripe. You can see here I'm actually going through the process of trying to create a grain sack stripe on my cane bag. However, it did not turn out that great because of the type of weave that we were working with in all those different directions. So in the end, I just took that beautiful Duck Egg Mineral Paint and painted the entire front section of the bag. And I actually love how you can still see some of that white peeking through. It's definitely got a lovely fresh but also vintage feel. Now this paint also has a built-in top coat in it, so that saves me having to do any more sealing. I then decided to use Paint Couture's Farmhouse Linen Chalk Paint, and I'm using that over the top of my resin molds. Now the molds were already a white color, but given that the paint that I used on the rest of the bag was an off-white, I wanted something that was going to tie in better with that. So I'm going to give each of these pieces 1 coat, and then when they're dry, I'm just going to use a spray sealer over the top to just give them a little bit more protection. Once my paint is completely dry and the sealer's all dry, I am going to start organizing the pieces on the bag. So again, just working out the layout, making sure I'm happy with that. And then once I'm ready to go ahead, I did grab my hairdryer and I heated up my resin casting. What this does is it creates a bit more flexibility in the resin so that now when I come in with the Gorilla Super Glue and I'm pressing down the casting on my bag, it's going to mold better to the surface. I then repeated the same process for each of the laurels that are going either side of our hair. You could probably use hot glue for this, however, I felt that using the super glue would give this more stability and strength. It would make it more permanent, especially if someone decides to use this as an actual handbag when they're out and about. I'm not going to worry about the pieces falling off. Finally, I took a wet wipe and went around and did just a little bit of wet distressing over the areas that we painted in Duck Egg. I just wanted to bring a little bit more of that white out and even maybe some of that black. And here's our finished bag. I love how this turned out. It was quite a simple and easy flip, but I think it was very effective, super cute. I would definitely use this when I was out and about shopping. Let me know what you think of this in the comments. For my second project, I'm going to be giving this metal planter a makeover. I've already given it a bit of a wipe down, but now I'm going to use Paint Couture's 2-in-1 primer in white, and I'm going to be giving the entire outside 2 coats. This is quite a slick surface being metal, so this primer is going to prepare the surface for paint so that my paint won't chip off, but it's also going to block any stains that might be peeking through. And I wasn't actually crazy about the color or the finish on this piece either. When it got to the sides, I took some sticky tape and I just pulled up each of the handles, and the sticky tape is going to hold that in place so that as I'm painting, I don't have the handles hitting the sides. So I'm going to continue to work my way around the planter until the entire piece is primed. When my 2 coats are dry, I'm going to use Paint Couture's Farmhouse Linen Chalk Paint, and I'm going to paint around the entire outside. Now at this point, I was thinking about keeping the inside of the planter as is, but later on you will see that I do decide to come in and give it the same treatment as the outside with the 2 coats of primer and also the 2 coats of the Farmhouse Linen. I did want to have it be a bit more tied together. When my paint was dry, I took these napkins that I got from Tkmaxx, and I'm going to be using one of them to decoupage. So first of all, I'm going to pull off 2 of the layers. This is a 3-ply napkin, so I'm going to pull off 2 layers, and because we have that beautiful white background, these are going to look great on our planter. So I'm going to just work out how much I'm going to need there, and then I'm going to take Paint Couture's Decoupage Medium in Matte. I'm going to lay down a generous even coat, and you can see that there is a swirl pattern on this planter, so I'm going in a few different directions, make sure I have good coverage, and then I'm positioning the napkin over the top and gently smoothing that down. Now it doesn't matter if we get some wrinkles here and there, it will just add to the vintage look. So I'm just using my paintbrush that still has a little bit of that decoupage medium on it, and I'm just using that to smooth out any air bubbles, and then I'm going to begin applying more product to seal it all in. Remember when you're working with napkins that these can be quite fragile, so you definitely want to be gentle as you are applying the second layer of product. I'm then going to go in and start ripping off the excess napkin. My medium is not quite dry, so I'm able to rip along that damp edge carefully. I'm also then going in with a little bit more product and sealing in the edges. Once this side is completely dry, I am going to flip it over, and I'm going to be adding that same napkin to the other side. So you can see we're just going to add it to the longer sides of this planter. I decided to leave the end pieces blank to just have that lovely farmhouse linen and the swirls visible. When that was dry, I then came in with small farmhouse linen, and I'm just tidying up the edges where the napkin ends on each side. As I mentioned previously, I did then decide to take my 2-in-1 primer and add that product to the inside of our planter and also our handles. So I've just removed the tape there, and now I'm going to come in with 2 coats of that primer on the inside and the handles. I felt like the project didn't look very finished, it didn't look very cohesive unless I took this step, because there was quite a difference. As you can see, even when I'm adding this product, there was quite a difference in the tone. So I'm also adding it to the handles. I'm not trying to be too heavy with the product here. And then once I've done 2 coats of that, I'm going to come in with that Farmhouse linen, 2 coats of that on the inside and on the handles. Just a reminder that if I have inspired you to try any of these Paint Couture products and you are outside of Australia, I would love it if you would use my affiliate link. I'll pop it in the description and on the screen. I just get a little thank you from Paint Couture in return. When that was dry, I took Farmhouse linen again and I'm adding it to the other casting from the Meadow Hare Mould that we made earlier, and I'm going to give this piece 1 coat. Once my paint was dry, I took my hairdryer and heated the resin piece up so that it would become flexible. And then once I've done that, I'm going to take my super glue Gorilla Gel and I am going to add that to the back of the hair. So I'm going to be positioning this in the center, and then once I've done that, I did decide to take some of Rust-Oleum's clear satin sealer and just seal the entire piece. I just felt like that was a lot easier than brushing on a sealer at this point. And here's our finished planter. I'm really happy with how this turned out. That napkin goes perfectly with the Meadow Hare Mould by Redesign. Let me know what you think of this in the comments. For my third project, I'm going to be working on this lovely blue canister. Now, I actually love how it looks. I don't want to paint it or do anything like that except add a transfer from the IOD traditional pots design. Now, I have only used one of the white designs from this pack, so I'm going to cut out the white design that has the lovely birds and florals on it. So I'm going to turn my little canister over. I've taken the lid off so I don't accidentally break that. And I'm going to peel the backing off the transfer and then press it into position. This has already been wiped down, so it's a clean surface. I'm going to press down and then I'm going to take the plastic transfer tool that comes in the pack and I'm going to start rubbing and burnishing that design down. You can see I've got one hand holding the transfer in place so it doesn't slip around, and I'm just rubbing over the entire design. There is a little curved section here, so I'm just working that transfer over that curve and rubbing it, and it's going down quite easily. So I'm just going to continue the same process, and as I'm rubbing, you will see next that I start pulling the plastic up, and doing this helps it to release. So I'm rubbing and pulling that plastic, making sure all of the design is down and continuing until I have everything down in place. And once I've finished this, I'm actually going to seal the entire piece with Rust-Oleum's satin clear coat. And here's our finished canister. This was already a lovely piece, but that IOD transfer really finishes it off. Let me know what you think of this in the comments. My final project is an easy one. I found this lovely antique cranberry server. Originally it would have had a glass bowl in it, a little spoon would sit in top, but I thought a nest would sit in it beautifully. So as soon as I saw it, I thought perfect for Easter or spring. You just pop a little nest in there or some florals and this would look beautiful. You could paint it, but I love the tarnished look it already has. I think this goes to show that you don't always have to paint something. Sometimes you can just add a nest or some florals and you've got a beautiful decor item for your home. Let me know what you think of this in the comments. I really hope that you've enjoyed today's video and that today's projects have inspired you to have a look at the decor you've already got in your stash and how you can use molds, transfers, or even napkins to give them a spring or Easter makeover. Let me know if you had a favorite project from today. If you enjoyed today's video, I would really appreciate it if you would hit that like button, comment, and share it out. If you haven't already, I would love it if you would hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so that you don't miss out on any of our videos. You can find most of the products used today on our website, theprovincialfarmhouse.com.au. Thanks for watching.